Welcome to the Memory Pool. My name is June Hayden, and I am one of the leaders of a memoir writing group called Past Forward. We are located in Charleston, Illinois, and we are very excited about our new YouTube channel and eager to share our memoirs with you. We hope that together with you, we will share in life's experiences. And now, I'd like to introduce Phyllis Bayles. She will join our authors and bring you right into our memory pool. Enjoy!
Welcome to the wonderful world of memoirs. What is memoir writing? Memoir is about handing your life over to someone and saying, "This is what I went through. This is who I am." And then maybe you can learn something from it. It's honestly sharing what you think, what you feel, and what you have gone through. And most of all, memoir is about creating a legacy that doesn't have dollar signs in front of it, but it has far greater residual value for family and your friends. Because truly, memoirs are treasures. Today's stories have captured personal moments in time. You'll learn why something as simple as milkweed was vital to the pilots in World War II, and why was it hard to sleep in a nickel plate railroad town. And one special Christmas, a mother gave her children a very special surprise. Finally, most of us have found ways to handle our lives during the pandemic. One of our authors writes about her coping methods, and she tells how one of them in particular proved out to be warm, cozy, and beautiful. So now let's listen to these stories from the memory pool.
My name is Shirley Wilson. During World War II, I was in grade school in Herrick, Illinois, a really small town. There were 8 kids in my class. In the fall, the United States government brought a trailer to our school and left it in the parking lot. We students were taken to the country and we walked the ditches looking for milkweed plants. The sides of the roads were not mowed then like they are today. We picked the pods from the milkweed plants and we took them into the school and they were dumped in the trailer that the government had left, and they came and got them. The fillings were used to fill the vests that the pilots wore. We only did that a couple of autumns. I assume that they found a better filler for the vests.
Finding winter warmth. I have many friends whose moods reflect the darkening days and chilling temperatures every year. 2 of my sisters have special lights to turn on during the winter to keep the blues at bay, but I usually find December a month of great contentment. I love baking and savor the sweet and spicy smells that fill my house as the holidays approach. I feel no panic over my to-do list. I just feel excited and tingly with the prospect of the good times ahead. I love watching the calendar and counting down the days until we are all together again. Naturally, this year isn't following that pattern, and it has been easy to get a little melancholy. I know it would be ridiculous to travel or to ask others to do so. I believe giving up gatherings this year is a tiny price to pay for the chance for all of us to live to celebrate together in the future. And I really meant it when I told my son Kyle that I understood why he and his wife have decided not to visit. I'm proud of them for making that call to stay safe and helped keep us safe. But I do miss the sizzle of anticipation. While I'm perfectly comfortable with celebrating by safe rules this year, I am feeling a little adrift without the normal excitement in my blood. Early in the pandemic, I had a similar feeling. I was at loose ends as we gave up on travel and birdwatching trips we had planned. My solution then was to make a quilt. I called it my pandemic quilt, and I tried to turn it into a kind of challenge. I determined that the whole thing had to be made only with materials that I already had on hand, with no shopping allowed. Of necessity, it became a crazy quilt made of scraps from every other quilt I'd ever made. To give it some order, I loosely organized the strips to create warm bands of yellow and red down the center, running from corner to corner, and filtering in the blue and green fabrics on the edges. That solid, warm line gave it a strong heart, and I became fonder and fonder of it as it grew. The only batting I had in the house was a wool bat that I'd gotten by mistake years ago, but I used that instead of my usual cotton. Now, each night, I am so happy to snuggle into the warmth of this new pandemic quilt. I always label my quilts to show when they were made and for whom. On this one, I labeled it as the pandemic quilt, sewn in the spring and summer of 2020, and I embroidered a variety of viruses around the edges of the label instead of my usual wildflowers. Everything about that quilt has made me so happy, it's hard to remember that I created it to keep myself occupied when I was feeling so glum during those early months of isolation. These last few weeks, I remembered that lesson and found a way to build some anticipation for myself about Christmas. Two of my sisters and my aunt and I have been getting together each Sunday on Zoom for months. It has been a joy for all of us, and a week or two I started creating Christmas boxes to send to these Zoom buddies of mine, despite the fact that we haven't exchanged gifts other than heifer project donations in years. So far, the boxes contain ginger snaps, chocolate chip cookies, 3-layer mint chocolate brownies, pounds of Peruvian coffee, coffee mugs painted with the variety of birds I'm always talking about, Jordan almonds, Hanukkah gelt like we used to get in our stockings, books I've read that I think they'll like, and containers of party mix. Every time I picture them opening these absurd boxes full of wrapped surprises, I start to laugh. My anticipation of the looks on their faces at the Zoom call after they receive these presents has given me the happy, warm feeling I was missing. And again, I'm counting down the days on the calendar.
My name is Rick Bayles, and this is a memoir from my dad, Dale Bayles. My grandfather worked for the Nickel Plate Railroad back in the early 1900s. In those days, everyone who worked for the railroad lived nearby their jobs. Here's something that my dad once told me. You know, the house that I grew up in was near the railroad tracks. When the trains went by, our whole house would rumble and shake. But when I first got married, I had a hard time falling asleep. A couple of nights, my wife woke up and asked, "What's the matter? Why aren't you sleeping?" I said, "I can't sleep. The bed's not moving."
The Lean Christmas. Just before my 15th Christmas, Mom explained that she was getting my brother Steve a nice stereo system with speakers. It couldn't really be wrapped, she said, so Mom had a plan for her and my brother to go to the neighbor's house after our Christmas was over to give them their gift of homemade cookies, and while they were over there, I was to set out Steve's gift. I was excited for my brother, as I knew he would be thrilled. Meanwhile, she kept saying things like, It's going to be a lean Christmas this year. That Christmas morning, we opened our gifts. Neither one of us got much, just a few things. I figured Mom must have needed all the money she had set aside for Steve's gift, which he wouldn't know about until later. Times had always been hard for us, but especially since our parents' divorce. I was a little disappointed for myself, but I was still so excited to see my brother's face when he got back to the house because I knew he would be ecstatic. We were both used to lean Christmases. Soon, Mom said it was time to go to the neighbors to take them the cookies we made, but she asked me to stay home to look after the wood stove. I knew that wasn't really the reason, but this kept my brother from wondering why I wasn't going with them. However, when they came back, much to my surprise, my mom and brother carried a beautiful hope chest with a tag with my name on it. What on earth? I had wanted one for years, but knew it was out of reach for us. I couldn't believe it. I don't even remember my brother's reaction to his big gift, all laid out by the Christmas tree. Our hard-working mother had surprised us both.
Hi, Phyllis Bayles here again. Well, those were wonderful stories. And on behalf of the Past Forward memoir writers of Charleston, Illinois, I want to thank you for joining us today. We invite you to join us for future readings as we share more of life's experiences. And before we see you again, try your hand at writing your own stories. What were some traditions your family observed during your early life? And do any of those traditions survive to this day with you and your family? Who was your best friend? And how did you become friends? And what fun things did you do together? And now that it's winter, I ask you, what did you used to do on snow days? If you're wondering how to start off with writing a memoir, don't get hung up on the writing itself. Instead, get in touch with what's really interesting, your story. Then just write your thoughts. Go ahead, experiment, have fun. And as they said in that popular 1972 commercial, try it, you'll like it.
On behalf of the Past Forward memoir writers, thank you for joining us today. If you would like to hear more of our stories, we invite you to subscribe to our channel. And if you enjoyed today's presentation, please give us a thumbs up. We look forward to seeing you again soon.